joining us now high atop the Orleans Arena.
Muscles.
Yes, muscles.
Have you lifted in Vegas here?
Dual threat animals. Blaine Fowler.
I did. I actually did.
You really did?
Yeah, and I'm going to go after we finish this because I've got just a little block of time before we have to come back and get ready to work again.
What are you benching right now?
I don't bench heavy anymore.
Weights is the answer.
Yeah, no, I do weights. I don't do heavy anymore. I got hurt a few years ago. I was lifting with an old teammate, and he said, "Can you still do 3 plates?" And I was like, "Yeah,
I can eat 3 plates.
Of course I can," which was stupid because I can't.
But you can't admit that. Yeah.
So I'm probably strong enough, but my joints aren't good enough. So I got it down and I started back up with it, and my shoulder got hurt. So now I do the 225 test all the time. And I just put 225.
Oh, because
like you're at the combine.
Yeah.
Because 225 is something to scoff at.
Every day is the combine. Every day is a combine day for me. Plus, Brian Urlacher told me he never lifted more than 225 once he got in the NFL.
Really?
Yeah, we did a piece on him, and I said, because he was a ridiculous beast at New Mexico.
You covered him a lot at New Mexico.
Yeah, and so I saw him. We did a little piece on him when he was with the Bears, and I said, "Can you still bench 470?" And he said, "Oh, no, I haven't lifted more than 225 since I got out of school." He said,
Interesting.
I just don't want to get – so he just really explosive, high-rep lifts. And he goes, "I'm plenty strong to play in the NFL." And I go, yeah. No kidding, right? Yeah, he's plenty strong, plenty fast, plenty talented.
Hall of Famer.
But he did lighter weights and did high reps. And I thought, wow, if Brian Urlacher can play in the NFL and do it, what am I trying to bench 3 plates for and get hurt? Stupid.
That used to be St. Mary's non-conference schedule, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Lower weight, higher reps.
Yeah, exactly.
28 wins, we don't get in, but now it's changed, right? We'll talk about that.
It'd be interesting if they get it. Fewer wins this year, and there's
but a
really
harder
good
schedule.
Chance, really good chance they're going to get in because the metrics are a lot better. And this is everybody's been screaming that at them for years. And I hope they get in with fewer wins just to prove that point was right. They needed to play a better schedule.
That it's who you play, and not if you win.
Yes, and when we lift weights next, Blaine.
Yes.
Because this is a common occurrence.
You and I usually play golf together. We play golf, but we don't lift.
Yeah, I was like, what?
You can go ahead and throw on 3 plates.
Okay.
Throw on those 3 15s for me. Okay?
Yeah, exactly. There's the 2.5s. I'll take those.
Here's the problem. There aren't 15-pound plates. That's right.
Shoot.
There's a 5, there's a 10, there's a 25.
Right. Yeah.
And a 35 and a 45.
Trust me, even I know that.
So the fact that he said throw on 15s
tells you everything
right there.
Yeah, exactly.
He's the guy that puts the little ones on the inside and the big ones on the outside. Like we walk through the gym, and if you don't start big and move to small, so like that, you look at him and you go, somebody should pull their gym pass. This is ridiculous.
Yes.
You can't go little on the inside and big on the outside. Come on.
Yeah, my analogy with that is BYU football has a lot of plates on the inside in September, and then you go to October, and then it goes to November, and it's thin, right? So.
Hey, it's built the right way if you're lifting at the gym.
Yeah.
But they ain't. Yeah. Okay.
Big plates on the inside.
Let's talk BYU hoops. So tonight, BYU and San Diego. BYU finally plays. We've been here for a couple days. BYU finally plays tonight. The line is 2.5 from Vegas. BYU won both meetings. What do you think of the matchup?
Yeah, it's going to be really good because I think San Diego's playing with a ton of confidence right now, and they start 4 seniors. I've had both games that they've played in here in the tournament. They're playing the best defense they've played all season long. That's why I think Vegas and Ken Palm, these guys have it that close. The thing that is good for BYU, when I'm watching the game last night, I'm thinking, what is best for BYU? Is it best for the team that's more talented and a better matchup in San Diego to win because they played a game the night before, or Santa Clara, who's maybe not as talented but would be better rested? And in the end, I think for BYU it was a toss-up. I do think if BYU can play well and get to the 10-minute mark in the second half, that's when you will see 3 nights in a row start to have an impact on San Diego. Also, BYU is a tougher matchup for San Diego than Santa Clara, than the 2 teams they've played. Because BYU does a better job. BYU, Yoli Childs gives them problems. They have a hard time guarding him without fouling him because their big guys struggle to stay in front of him, and then they really struggle to stay in front of TJ Haws. I mean, we've seen that in the 2 meetings that they've had with him. Haws with 35 down in the overtime win down there, and then he had 26 in the game in Provo. And Yoli, they just don't have a matchup for Yoli, and he's just too quick. They have some good bigs, but he just goes right by him. And BYU runs that pick and roll where when TJ comes off of the pick and roll, he turns the corner. And talking to Sam Scholl last week when they were up in Provo, he said he's just so hard. He goes, he's skinny, and his ability to read the defense and understand where he's supposed to go in the defense is one of the best in the league. And so he always gets into the interior, and they get into rotations, and now your defense is broken down. And so I think BYU is a tough matchup for San Diego. As well as they're playing defensively, I think they have a hard time guarding BYU, especially those two.
Yeah.
That's a tough matchup for them. And in the other games, they've had some other people step up, but those two have been huge both games for a reason, and it's because matchups are tough for San Diego.
Yeah, Isaiah Pinheiro can match up athletically with Yoli Childs, but he can't guard Yoli Childs the entire time. And Floreska and Yaoyin Masalski matched up on Yoli Childs is a clear advantage BYU.
Yeah, and so Pinheiro, he's a phenomenal player. He's one of the best players in the league. I love his skill set. He's 6'7", but he's not physical enough to match up with Yoli. So if you get him on Yoli, then Yoli goes inside and just shoots right over the top of him. If you put the big guys in, then Yoli's too quick. Not only does he get mid-range jumpers and maybe a 3 or 2, but if they come out on the floor and try to cover him, he just blows right by him and dunks at the rim. And so they have a struggle, and everybody in the league has a struggle matching up with Yoli, but they also have a struggle staying in front of TJ Haws. And their rotations have been really, really good because the guards they've played against in these first 2 games, they've been able to stay in front of another second or 2 longer than they do when they've played against TJ Haws. And BYU shot a lot of free throws in the last meeting, and that's because he gets around the corner, they start to rotate, they just get a little bit late, and now they're fouling because they're not in front of the guy with the ball.
Now, if BYU is to have a third scorer tonight, who's most likely to step up into that role?
Well, Emery played really well in the last meeting, and Cannon stepped up. And talking to Sam Scholl before the last game, he says it's always one of those 2 guys comes up, and they don't have to be big all game long, but when the game's on the line, it's coming down the stretch, and they lift their effort level defensively and finally stop TJ and Yoli, it seems like BYU's been able to kick the ball out, and Emery would make a big 3, or Cannon in the first meeting would make a big 3. And so I don't know that they have to go out and be another 15-point scorer, but in a combination of Celius, Emery, and Cannon have to be able to knock down a few open shots when that big defensive effort is made and they feel like, man, we held them for a whole shot clock. The backbreakers are when you defend TJ and you defend Yoli and you finally feel like we're down to 5 seconds in the shot clock, and then the TJ kicks the ball out to the outside, and Emery, not with that hand, with his hand, Emery knocks down a 3, or Cannon knocks down a 3, who's been good at that. Those are backbreakers, and they need those guys to make some shots. They don't have to score 15 or 20. They just have to make some big shots when they're open.
Will anyone challenge Gonzaga in this tournament?
No.
Will we have a single-digit game with them?
I doubt it.
They didn't play a single one in league play. It's incredible.
It's Steve and I, Cleveland, were talking about this last night. The difference between this Gonzaga team and the really good teams they've had in the past. Let's remember they were a Final Four team a couple years ago.
Into the national championship.
Yeah, but this team is so good defensively. So they get on you, and they're stifling because they defend every position 1 through 5. They're just so good defensively, and the team has an edge to it. They play so physical, and they take so much pride defensively. Mark's had some really good offensive teams. This team's skilled like those teams offensively, but this, I believe, is the best defensive team he's had that can just lock people down. So they can afford to miss a few shots. That doesn't bother them at all because they're just going to lock you down, and they're going to get you frustrated. And for that reason, they just – I don't know that anybody can challenge them this year. They're so deep. They're so good defensively. I don't know that anybody gets it under 10 when it's all said and done. And teams have stayed close through most of the game, and then the way they play defense just wears you down, and then they go on a run. And they get you on your heels, and they get out, and this team really can push the basketball. When they get you on their heels, they turn you over a couple times, and just like that, when you were in a 6 or 7 point ball game, it's a 16-point ball game in 2 minutes. And that's what they've done to everybody this year, with very few exceptions. Tennessee, North Carolina.
Also good teams.
Those are acceptable losses.
And not in their home gym, which this is kind of their home gym. I like that you call it the Gonzaga Invitational, because I was in the elevator a couple of days ago with some Gonzaga fans. I said, man, you guys are here early. Your teams aren't even playing. They go, yeah, we schedule our stuff the year before. So we come down, we make a week out of this, and we catch some of the games and we do our thing. And they said, where are you from? I said, well, I'm from BYU, but we're here to do the whole tournament, so we're doing games. And they go, well, welcome to the Gonzaga Invitational. They said
They must watch the show, Blaine.
They said it.
They watch the show.
I was like, man, this is – but they have every right to be a little bit confident.
A little bit.
Every right to be a little bit confident. That's a fantastic basketball team. And before it's all said and done, they're going to be one seed in the NCAA tournament. They have a chance to be the #1 overall seed in the tournament, which that's saying something, and well deserved.
Just crazy. Hey, I know your son Gavin is involved with BYU football in the spring, now in a coaching and a mentor role. So quickly, what's the word from BYU spring football camp via Gavin and from your own observations?
Yeah, I went 2 days earlier in the week before we got out here to Vegas, and it was fun to watch. You know, a lot of faces that are out there but aren't practicing, but they're all players that really we don't need to see what they can do. It would be nice. Like, I would love to have Zach Wilson in spring ball. I think he could really use spring ball. Phenomenal talent, got great experience last year, but you'd like him to get a ton of reps in spring ball. So that hurts a little bit, but we know that he can play, right? And he's out there taking mental reps, and on every play they're talking to him about what would you do and what would you see. And so he's taking mental reps every play, but I would love to see him out there. I think it hurts his progress a little bit. But you know what? With that, we get to see Jaron Hall and allow him to develop because he's going to get more reps. Joe Critchlow's playing really well in spring. And Romney at quarterback, to me, in the first 2 days I was there, I was like, whoa.
Baylor Romney.
This kid can play too. Wow.
Gunner's older brother.
BYU's back in the quarterback business. They have multiple good guys at that position, which you have to have, and I've been very impressed there. And the position group that just is eye-popping to me is on the defensive line. Those guys are in shape. Kairos Tonga, we talk about weightlifting. They were doing a little strength test the week before spring ball, and he threw 600 pounds on the bar and squatted 600 pounds and jumped at the top. He jumped at the top, and then he was like, well, I can do more than that. And they're like, no, that's fine.
We're good.
You're all good.
We get it, buddy.
You don't need to do any more. But he did 600 like you and I warm up with it.
Wow.
And he looks more fit than I've seen him. And BYU is very deep on both sides of the ball up front, on the offensive line and defensive line. That's a great place to start. And there's a lot of skilled players around them that aren't there. Isaiah Kafusi and Zane are really going to be fine at outside linebacker, but we're not seeing them in spring ball. So there's a lot of faces missing. Katoa is going to be fine at running back. We're not seeing him in spring ball. A lot of faces missing. But the core of what I see, when I look and I go, wow, the offensive line is deep and really good. Holy cow, the defensive line is eye-popping and really good. That's a great spot to be in the offseason. I think BYU makes a big step forward next fall.
There's only one appropriate way to end this interview, Blaine, and that's with the countdown.
Countdown to the Utes.
173.
Yeah.
On it.
Yeah.
I was going to harm Max, but I was a little worried.
Blaine can sing really well, by the way. That's true fact. Yeah.
Wow, that's nice of him.
Thanks, Blaine.